Welcome to this deep dive into the whirlwind world of OpenAI and its ever-evolving ChatGPT.
It certainly feels like a whirlwind sometime.
Totally. You're tuning in because, well, you want to stay clued in on the big tech shifts without drowning in news feeds. And OpenAI, they've been really busy.
That's putting it mildly. New models, strategy changes, even social media, apparently.
Exactly. So much happening. Our mission today is basically to cut through all that noise. We're going to focus on the really important, kind of intriguing stuff, mostly drawing from a TechCrunch report from late April 2025.
Sounds good. A solid source to ground the discussion.
Okay, let's dive right in. The report kicks off with some, well, pretty major changes in how OpenAI is handling its core AI models. That seems like the place to start.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting, I think, is the direction they're pointing. They're planning to make GPT-4 the default model in ChatGPT.
The default. Replacing the current GPT-4 for most people.
Yeah, by the end of April, that's the plan. Now, GPT-4 itself isn't just vanishing. That's key.
Okay, so it's not gone.
No. It'll still be accessible through their API, for developers who want to plug it into their own apps.
Right. The API access remains. So this shift to 4.0, it suggests they think this newer, more versatile model is really ready for everyone, the one that handles images and stuff.
Pretty much. It seems like they feel it's robust enough for that prime time, everyday usage. Handles text, images, more multimodal, what you said.
Makes sense. And alongside that, we saw a whole bunch of these new GPT 4.1 models pop up, right? A standard one, a mini, even a nano.
That's right. And those seem laser-focused on coding capabilities.
Okay, so that's like a direct play against competitors. Google's Gemini, DeepSeek. They're all fighting for that developer space.
Exactly. It feels very targeted. These API-only models suggest they're building out, different tiers of AI power for specific needs, trying to get an edge in competitive spots like coding.
Looking at the bigger picture, yeah. Now, what about the O3 model? I remember hearing it might be a standalone thing.
There's talk about that, yeah. But apparently those plans got shelved.
Shelved? So what happens to its tech?
It sounds like it's being folded into the upcoming GPT-5. Which is expected in the coming months, supposedly.
Okay, so maybe streamlining things internally, focusing efforts on the next big flagship model.
Could be. It often happens that way in R&D. But they did also launch O3 and another one, O4 Mini, as specific reasoning models.
Reasoning models, what's new there?
Well, these ones bring some fresh capabilities, like being able to browse the web directly, process images, that kind of thing.
But I think the report mentioned some, let's say, hiccups with those reasoning models.
Yeah, you're right. There were reports they had more hallucinations, making stuff up.
Which is always a concern with these things.
Definitely. And also, their scores on some standard benchmark tests apparently came in lower than maybe expected, especially for O3.
That raises that whole tricky point about how we even measure how good these models are, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when they evolve so fast.
It really does. It underscores the challenge of objective evaluation and why independent testing is so important. Someone else getting different results than OpenAI initially claimed. That's worth noting.
And it seems like GPT 4.1, the one launched mid-April, also had a bit of a bumpy landing. Reports saying it wasn't maybe as reliable.
Yeah, and interestingly, OpenAI themselves apparently called it not a frontier model.
Wow, that's quite candid. Not a frontier model.
Oh, it is. Helps manage expectations, maybe? And it shows AI development isn't always a straight lineup. Sometimes it's iterative, with bumps.
True. And then there was this flex processing API thing for O3 and O4 Mini. What's that about?
Right. Think of that as like a budget tier. It's cheaper to use these models via Flex, but it's also slower.
So for non-critical tasks, stuff that isn't customer-facing or time-sensitive.
Exactly. Non-production uses where speed isn't the absolute top priority, but cost is, like an economy mode for AI.
Gotcha. And then the quick turnaround on GPT 4.5, launched in February, pulled from the API in July, just becoming a research preview for paying customers.
Yeah, that was fast. A really short public API lifespan.
What does that signal, do you think?
Hard to say for sure. Maybe constant experimentation, refining their offerings, or perhaps keeping the absolute cutting-edge stuff for like a smaller group of paying users first, get feedback before wider release.
Could be. Lots of moving parts. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. This open model initiative, that sounds different for OpenAI.
It really does. Led by Aidan Clark, their VP of Research. The idea is an AI model anyone can just download and run, free, no API restrictions.
Whoa. Okay, that is a significant shift from their usual walled garden approach.
It's fascinating, right? Think about the potential for wider access. Individuals, smaller companies, researchers, being able to use a powerful model freely.
Yeah, the possibilities. And they're even thinking about letting this open model connect back to their main cloud models.
That's part of the consideration, yeah. For the really complex questions, the open model could potentially tap into the big guns hosted by OpenAI.
So like a powerful local assistant that can phone home for backup on the really tough problems.
Kind of, yeah. It's a clever way to balance that desire for open access with the sheer power of their massive cloud-based systems. Could be a game changer for democratizing AI, potentially.
Definitely one to watch.
Yo.
Okay, let's talk images, because apparently people are generating a lot of them.
Oh, yeah. The report throws out some huge numbers for the upgraded image generator in ChatGPT.
Like, what are we talking?
Over 700 million images created since just late March by over 130 million users.
700 million. That's staggering. It really shows people are jumping on AI for creative stuff.
Absolutely. And apparently those Ghibli-style images are particularly popular.
I've seen those. They're pretty cool, actually.
And to handle all this, they've added a new library section in ChatGPT. Just makes it easier to find and manage the images you've generated. Sensible update.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Keep things organized. And they're working on watermarking, too. Image Gen, is that what it's called?
Yeah, spotted in the Android beta, apparently.
Right.
For images made with GPT-4.0, seems like a necessary step as AI images get better and more widespread.
Totally agree. You need some way to tell if something's AI generated.
Right.
For transparency, fighting misinformation,
Right.
all that.
Crucial. And speaking of image content, the report mentions OpenAI has actually removed some previous restrictions.
Removed restrictions like what?
Allowing images of public figures now, apparently. Even things like hateful symbols and racial features, which were previously blocked. They're calling it an evolved approach.
Evolved.
Yeah.
That's a significant change. I could see how that might raise some eyebrows.
For sure. While they might frame it as enabling broader expression, it definitely opens up questions about potential misuse, ethical lines, generating controversial stuff.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance. And going back to those popular Ghibli images, does that raise copyright flags, given OpenAI's history with training data lawsuits?
That's a really salient point. The whole legal area around AI art and copyright, especially using existing styles or works in training data, it's still a massive gray area and a big challenge for OpenAI and others.
Definitely. Okay, moving on to some new features within ChatGPT itself.
Yep.
It can now remember past conversations.
Yeah, to personalize responses. That's a big deal for making interactions feel less robotic, more continuous.
Like talking to someone who actually remembers what you said 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. Though it's rolling out initially just for Pro and Plus users and not in certain parts of Europe yet.
Right, typical staged rollout. But still, a key step towards more useful AI assistance. And there's a tasks beta for reminders.
Yeah, just a simple feature to set reminders right within the chat adds another layer of practical utility.
And the voice assistant got an upgrade too. Sounds like it's becoming much more conversational.
Apparently so. Improved chatting, more real-time interaction, sounds more personable. And what's interesting is that free users get access to this improved version too in the advanced voice mode.
Oh, that's good. Not just for paying users.
Seems like the core improvement is for everyone, maybe with enhanced responses for subscribers. It really feels like they're pushing ChatGPT beyond just text.
Towards a proper conversational partner.
And that ties into the new API models too. Better transcription, better text-to-speech, supposedly with fewer errors or hallucinations. All about making voice interactions smoother, more reliable.
Plus that macOS app update, letting developers edit code directly. Another nod to that key user group.
Yeah, clear focus on developer tools there.
Okay, let's shift to the business side, because the numbers are pretty eye-watering. OpenAI expects revenue to triple.
Yeah, to $12.7 billion in 2025. That's massive. It just shows how much traction their paid AI software is getting.
$12.7 billion. Wow. Driven by enterprise deals and subscriptions, I guess.
That seems to be the engine. And adding fuel to that growth engine, there are reported talks with Meta and Reliance Industries in India.
Reliance. That's huge in India. What kind of collaboration?
The report suggests Reliance Jio, their telecom arm, might distribute ChatGPT via API to Indian businesses. That could massively expand their reach.
Huge market potential there. And we see leadership shuffles, too. Brad Lightcap focusing on global expansion.
Right. His role expanded to cover global growth and partnerships, while Sam Altman apparently focuses more on the research and product side, a strategic split to handle that expansion.
Makes sense. Divide and conquer. And ChatGPT for government agencies.
Yeah, tailored for U.S. government use, enhanced security, privacy, compliance. tapping into that public sector market. It's a logical move given the data sensitivity.
And then there are whispers about charging a lot for specialized AI agents.
Yeah, reports mentioned potentially tens of thousands of dollars a month for agents designed for specific business tasks.
Tens of thousands a month. Okay, so they're definitely seeing high value in customized automated AI for big companies.
It suggests they're targeting serious enterprise automation where that cost brings significant returns. And technically, they've adopted Anthropic's Model Context Protocol.
MCP, what does that do?
Basically helps link the AI's answers back to the source data it used. Should improve accuracy, reduce making things up, add trustworthiness.
Grounding the AI in facts. Good. And what's this about potentially adjusting safety standards based on competitors?
That was an interesting, maybe slightly controversial point, considering lowering their own bars if competitors release high-risk AI without similar safeguards. Kind of a competitive dynamic playing out in the safety space.
That's a complex one. And their own social media platform. Did I read that right?
It did. Early stage development, apparently. Very unexpected move. Raises all sorts of questions about their long-term vision.
Yeah, OpenAI social. Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, and new tools in the Responses API, replacing the Assistance API.
Essentially, yeah. New tools to help businesses build more autonomous agents, one that can surf the web, scan files, perform tasks independently. The old Assistance API is being phased out by H1 2026. It's a move towards enabling more capable, independent AI workflows for businesses.
Got it. Empowering others to build more sophisticated agents.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, let's touch on some of the ongoing issues and controversies. There's always something.
Always. Like the privacy complaint in Europe about ChatGPT making up defamatory things about someone.
Right, those harmful hallucinations.
Yeah.
It's a serious reminder of the real-world impact when these things go wrong, and the related issue of potential libel, generally.
Exactly. When an AI confidently states false information as fact, the legal and ethical fallout is significant. It's a persistent challenge.
And they used Reddit's Change My View to test AI persuasion.
Apparently so. Testing the persuasive abilities of their reasoning models shows they're actively exploring those capabilities, which also has ethical dimensions.
For sure. The report also had some interesting user stats, like mobile users being overwhelmingly male.
Yeah, around 85% male for mobile users, according to the report. And also the increasing use by teenagers for schoolwork.
Ah, yes, the homework helper dilemma. Concerns about accuracy, plagiarism. It's a big one for education.
Definitely. And a couple of finer points. OpenAI possibly keeping deleted data from their operator feature for up to 90 days, longer than standard ChatGPT data.
Interesting data retention difference. And that free ChatGPT Plus offer for college students.
Yeah, temporary thing for U.S. and Canadian students until end of May. A nice perk, maybe drive some adoption.
And finally, Sam Altman himself warning about potential product delays.
Yeah.
Because new features are just too popular.
Yeah, basically saying demand might outstrip their compute capacity, causing slowdowns. It really speaks to the incredible hunger for these cutting-edge AI tools.
A victim of their own success, maybe.
In a way, yeah. It shows the massive scale and infrastructure required to run all this.
So wrapping up this deep dive,
Wow.
the pace of change at OpenAI and just in AI generally, it's kind of breathtaking.
It really is. We've covered a lot. Model changes, new features, big business plays, the ongoing ethical debates.
Yeah, the key things that stick out are that constant push for more capable AI, but also a more segmented strategy for different users. And they're still wrestling with safety, accuracy, all that responsible deployment stuff.
Absolutely. These aren't just abstract tech developments. They have real implications for developers, businesses, educators, all of us.
Totally. So maybe the final thought for you listening in, given how fast this is all moving and the sheer range of applications, what future AI development are you most anticipating? Or maybe what concerns you the most?
Yeah, thinking about those ethical questions, the societal shifts, the practical impacts we touched on, there's a lot to mull over.
Definitely. Well, we hope this deep dive gave you a solid handle on where ChatGPT stands right now.
And hopefully encourages you to keep exploring these really fascinating, really fast-moving topics.